Welcome to my video about ozone and other oxidizing agents in healing, in treatment, in dentistry, and also of course for you at home, some of them that you can use at home. The reason I'm doing this, and as you can see I've got my whole chemistry lab set up here, is because I've been over many years, but I've been teaching about ozone and peroxide and iodine and obviously oxidizing agents in our products for over 17 years now. And when I teach professionals, colleagues, they always ask, oh, iodine, peroxide? Other than lasers, which I mainly teach, but when we're doing treatment with periodontitis, for example, we're always talking about other oxidizing agents, peroxide, iodine, and how to use them and all that stuff. But ozone has become a highlight of my discussions lately since the COVID-19 crisis started, because I talk about it a lot and I get so many questions, and a lot of them stem from lack of knowledge or ignorance, or sometimes fighting, like colleagues or professionals, medical professionals, dental professionals, and of course other non-medical individuals as well, asking me questions or attacking, going, oh, this doesn't work. What I'm like, well, how do you know? Have you studied it? No. Well, so how do you know? So the reason I'm doing it and discussing all the uses of ozone, specifically, like the whole subject of the video is mainly ozone, and then introducing my newly invented ozone chamber for disinfecting masks or any other things that you want to put inside, basically disinfects it fully. I'll explain that later on. And other ozone machines, which I do not sell or make or treat people with directly. We use ozone in our clinic and I teach about it, but I do not inject people with ozone. And I'll talk about injections later on. So first part will be only about ozone, and second part will be about general oxidizing agents, including ozone, and which ones can be used how and when and in what concentrations, and then doing a little chemistry test. If you want to geek out on chemistry, because I love biochemistry anyway, we'll do a little chemistry test here at the end and show you some really cool things to find out what oxidizing agents work and all these things. However, the main point, like the real reason I'm doing this, is because awareness on how to deal with infections in terms of viruses, as we're all talking about today, bacteria, pathogens, yeast, fungal infections, protozoal infections, whatever, has been going on for centuries, basically. At least about 2 centuries since we discovered the germ theory and all these things. And we know how many things work. We already have had evidence for years and years and years. And yet, many of us, I'm talking especially now about the medical and dental professionals, they get stuck in this weird dogma that I don't understand, with certain items that have been touted as the gold standards, like chlorhexidine, for example, or alcohol, which are highly cytotoxic to human cells and animal cells. And yes, they do kill bacteria and do kill some viruses, but chlorhexidine doesn't kill viruses actually. But that's the gold standard when we know it's bad for us, even though it kills some bacteria, when we have other better stuff to use that's safer and also more evidence, and yet they don't want to look at the evidence. So for example, now with the COVID-19 crisis, why isn't every medical practitioner and every hospital treating people with ozone IV? Vitamin C IV, I will not talk about it in this video, that's a whole different thing, and you should be able to combine them because everything is a combination treatment. But ozone IV, intravenous, has been proven for decades. The only issue is, first of all, where did the whole ozone thing come from? The first ozone generator was patented by Tesla, Nikola Tesla. Since then, it was used by German physicians to disinfect wounds back in World War I. Then the Germans again started injecting it and discovered how effective it is. The Italians, the Cubans have written articles and books about it. It is nothing new, and many doctors around the world, especially holistic doctors, use it all the time, either to enhance the immune system, activate the biology and the biological response within the human body, and or to treat infections like this directly. It's not patentable. That's really the trick here. It's not patentable. Nobody can sell you ozone. You actually have to buy ozone generators. Like I said, none of these I own these, but none of these I sell or make myself. And there are many other good ones. I'm not showing you everything here. I'll actually show you the ones that we have in the clinic, in the dental clinic, as part of this video as well. You'll see them very soon. Those are very big machines. I could not remove them. They're fitted into the wall or plumbed into the sink. Taps, basically. And since it's not patentable, is that the question why we're told as doctors and practitioners not to use it? Well, that's a question for you to ask, basically. Why does it have to be a pill or something that comes from a labeled manufacturer in a box where they make millions and billions out of it? Otherwise, no, you can't use it, or no, we won't pay for FDA approvals, and so on and so forth about it. It's just crazy. So ozone must be used IV to treat infections by trained professional, not by anyone, of course, alongside other treatments, because you want to increase the oxygen concentration in the body. You want to kill the viruses, and ozone does that kill at 1 to 4 ppm, parts per million. That is such a low concentration that it cannot cause any damage to the human body. It only has side benefits, no side effects. Also in water, in taps, as I'll talk about soon, it's the same concentration. It kills everything bad on contact, leaves no residue, becomes oxygen and water. That's it. By the way, what I just talked about right now, water and soap, the same medical professionals telling us water and soap kill the virus. Okay, so water and soap kills the virus. Great, and I agree with that, by the way. If the viruses which have a lipid bilayer like the coronavirus and the influenza virus and the common cold coronavirus, because coronavirus is a whole range. The common cold is caused by coronavirus. MERS and SARS are caused by coronaviruses, and this is SARS-2, this virus here. So yes, anything with a lipid bilayer can be killed by soap breaking down its outer lipid bilayer membrane. It can be killed by oxidizing agents. Yes, bleach. Yes, this oxidizing agent. Yes, iodine. Yes, ozone. The question is safety for the human, and of course alcohol as well, but only at 60-70% concentration. Low alcohol concentrations like 40% vodka will not kill it. 60-70 as in hand sanitizers, yes. So there's many things that can kill it, and many of them are so simple. The question is, why aren't we using it all intelligently, and why aren't we thinking and collaborating and corroborating the science on safety, different methods of application? Like, can you inject bleach into the human body? Absolutely not. Should you rinse with bleach? Absolutely not. Well, what other safe, proper oxidizing agent can we rinse with? For example, this. For example, ozone water. Which one can we inject? Can we inject this? No. Can we inject iodine directly? Technically, no. Can you inject ozone? Yes. Can you inject hydrogen peroxide into the human body? Absolutely no. And this is what I'll show you in the second and third part of the video. Why not, basically? Absolutely not. But wash your hands with peroxide? Yeah. Rinse with it as long as it's 1% concentration? Yes. So this is the game I want us to understand and play with. Science is science. There is maths, there's biology, there's chemistry, then there is quantum biology, quantum chemistry, and quantum physics, obviously, because this is the whole new modern way of looking at all these basic sciences. How do they quantum the energies of everything? How do they interact with each other? And then there's the application of that in biochemistry, in medicine, which is not a science. Medicine and human healing is not a science. It is an art. I repeat that. Medicine and human healing is an art of understanding, of awareness, of intention, clarity of intention. How do I combine different sciences together? Safety, efficacy, uses, this for outside, this for inside, whatever it is, all these sciences together, and how do we create more science out of the combination of the new sciences to help humans heal and help humans live better lives and become better in every way possible. It's an art, not a science. We use science to provide art. So this is what we're creating here, talking about science and showing science, but using it to create art that heals and helps humanity. So without further ado, let's talk about ozone in a bit more detail. So this is our CDU, Central Disinfection Unit, for ozone, to ozonate the mains water as it comes out of the pipes and back into the practice. I'll show you the other ones. And this here is a water ozonating machine. So as soon as you put your hand in front of the sensor, the water ozonator starts to work, and you get ozonate water down here. Filters are down there. It's connected to the tap, so they filter the water, and then the water gets ozonated. You wash your hands with it, and you can rinse with it. You can also drink it, and you can flush with it. So it's for rinsing, skin, mucosa, oral cavity, obviously, flushing inside gums, inside teeth, washing hands, disinfecting anything basically that is washable. And because the ozone is dissolved in the water, it is very, very safe. Okay, so that's another machine. I would have already shown you by now the ozone generator taps that we have in the clinic. One is on the bench, filters underneath, and one goes under the whole facility basically, ozonating all the water taps, all the water that's going to all the taps, to keep all our taps basically and our dental syringes and everything else biofilm free. But when you want to make ozone fresh for rinsing or flushing something with, then it better be freshly made. That's why we have the other concentrator to make it more concentrated and fresh on demand, because you cannot store ozone. Ozone in normal temperature, about 20 to 25 degrees, will disintegrate, break down into oxygen and water within 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. So you can't store it, you can't sell it technically. You have to make it on demand. Ozone, when you breathe ozone gas in air for too long, you'll get a lung irritation. So yes, it is not good to breathe ozone concentrated, even low concentrations basically, for a long time into the lungs. It's not as toxic as chlorine, for example. Chlorine, bleach. Chlorine was one of the very first biological weapons that was used in World War I, and I don't know, after that, probably World War II. I don't keep track of all these things because they're too sick and sad by the British and by the Germans, and of course then the Americans made the sarin gas and the whatever it is, the Agent Orange and all these things to kill humans. So chlorine, when it's breathed, same as fluorine and bromine and even iodine itself, they can all be toxic on breathing. So is ozone. That doesn't mean we breathe them. Okay, so we're not talking about biological weapons here, and we're not talking about eugenics and all that other horrific. By the way, this is all sciences. This is all science. Chemistry is science. Creating these chemical weapons is science. Eugenics was science and was taught in universities in the US for decades. It was supported by Johns Hopkins and the Rockefeller and so many other really high-end politicians and the army and everything else. So science is science. My question is, what's the intent of how we use science and why we create it, okay? And how to be intelligent about how to use something in what concentrations, lowest concentrations possible for maximum efficacy and only positive side benefits. No side effects are acceptable, okay? So chlorine is dangerous, yet we use it to clean stuff and disinfect stuff, but also we use it in water to keep the water clean. So chlorine in water is safe until it reacts with other things and becomes if it reacts with ammonia, it becomes very toxic and all these other things, so it can react with other stuff. But just in water, in the water taps, it's fine. And I'm okay with that. Just don't breathe pure chlorine. Same thing with ozone. So that's the first question that I keep getting asked. Oh, but ozone is not safe. It's not safe to breathe. Well, who said you should just sniff it and breathe it all the time? Isn't chlorine more toxic? So that's just an example, and there's many examples like this we can go through. Therefore, I would recommend that every dental and medical practice and hospital for sure, and of course from there on it can be at any food manufacturing facility and everything else like that, should have, by today, I've been using them for well over 15 years now, ozone machines, water ozonators basically, water taps. Now they come as beautiful taps, which you can have at home as well, and they become much cheaper, or bigger, stronger machines, because all you need at the end of the day is dissolved ozone of between 1 or 2 parts per million up to 4 parts per million. That's 4 over a million. You don't need that much. You just need ozone in there. Kills viruses on contact, kills everything on contact, but much safer for the hands, for the skin. You can rinse with it, you can ingest it. You can't do that with alcohol. You can't do that with peroxide. I'll show you what peroxide does to skin, because it's actually a bit acidic as well. So it has uses though. I love peroxide, but everything in moderation, in the proper applications, and for the proper use and with safety. So ozone taps, absolutely. Ozone generators at home, you can get some cheaper ones for a few $100s like these ones. You can get more professional ones that make medical grade ozone that requires an oxygen, a medical oxygen tank basically. So it's 100% oxygen going in. Therefore, what's coming out is purely ozone and oxygen, and that's the stuff that you can inject. I don't do those injections either for myself or for others, but I get them done and I recommend them for everyone regularly. to keep healthy and stay healthy. And if you're sick, obviously higher concentrations, that's why it has to be done by a professional. So if you're going to inject, it has to be pure oxygen in, pure ozone and oxygen, obviously, because it doesn't all convert to ozone, out, and then inject it either as a gas very slowly, which is very tricky. It's safe because you can, ozone is not air. You can't inject air into the human body, into the vein. That will cause embolism, of course. But oxygen and or ozone, you can inject very safely, 50, 100 mils very slowly of pure oxygen or ozone very slowly, and it's safe. However, it's a bit more complicated. Much easier way to do it is through saline. Just bubble it through the saline and drip the saline through. So it's dissolved in that saline, just like we spoke about with the water, dissolved in the water already. Very easy to do, very effective. For other uses, you can put it in ears, you can do insufflations with it. That's a whole different story. I don't want to talk about that now, so it doesn't confuse people too much. But you can buy cheaper machines like these and literally, and an oxygen concentrator, because this obviously you have to have some form of a license to be able to access oxygen, pure oxygen, or find a way around it. But you can get oxygen concentrators, which are not pure oxygen, but they constantly make oxygen out of air, basically, concentrated to about 90 to 95% pure oxygen. So it's not as pure as this, but it's much more oxygen coming in, which means purer and stronger ozone coming out of the machines. And you can plug it into any of these, and any of us can have these at home. And then you can put these in water and bubble it through. The water becomes ozonated. Use that to wash with, you use that in your bath, have a bath in it, basically, ozone bath. It will absorb through and clean through. Put it in your spa pools. A lot of spa pools and a lot of big commercial swimming pools are now using ozone instead of chlorine because it's much safer for the human. Way safer at much lower concentrations and way more effective as well. It just needs more equipment rather than just chemicals poured in. It actually requires more equipment set up, and that's all it is. Or another use, of course, which is what I'm talking about here, is having a box like that, that once it's sealed, it's not necessarily fully airtight, but quite airtight. When you're using ozone as a gas, like we said at the beginning, it shouldn't be breathed in as a pure gas for a long time. Yet, it is much safer than UV light, for example. We have UV boxes to disinfect equipment and all these things. They're very safe if closed, and dark glass or dark perspex is on the outside, but we shouldn't be looking at UV light or blue light for too long. It's very dangerous for the eyes. So with ozone, it's actually safer because it can be clear. This is obviously homemade. This is very homemade. It's not commercial, and it's not being sold. Just airtight, ozone in and ozone out. So when you're using ozone gas and letting it bubble through to disinfect, like N95 masks, anything else like that, so we can reuse them, you need an ozone deconstructor, basically, on the other end, so that the air that's coming out is now, well, the concentrated ozone that's coming out of that air is now broken down before the ozone comes out. So these deconstructors break down the ozone back into oxygen, of course, and make it safe to breathe. So this can be in the room as long as that's attached there, ozone coming in, it stays within. It's heavier than air, so it actually goes down, and that's why it disinfects everything. As you keep pushing more through, whatever keeps getting pushed through will get deconstructed back to oxygen. So very easy to use these things. I'll show you one thing very quickly. How do you know that your machine is making good enough ozone? A good way to test your ozone machine is working and letting out enough ozone at home, very simple, is to use latex. So anything that's latex gloves, which now are replaced mostly by vinyl gloves because they're easier and safer to use and cause less allergies and stuff, but you can still get them in some places. Or balloons. Balloons are usually latex. Very easy to use. Turn the oxygen on, or your oxygen concentrator, if that's what you're using. Turn your machine on. First of all, if you just let it out like this, you will smell some ozone, and that's fine, that's safe. It's if you keep breathing and then it goes it becomes a lung irritant, so don't do that for too long. Very easy to do. There we go. And you can see very clearly how literally it just breaks it down. Okay.